Not much of an off season for drivers that compete on the weekly racing series short tracks around the country. The guys spend most of the wintertime preparing their automobiles for the upcoming racing season. We're going to talk to Garrett Lambert, the crew chief on the 5 car that Rock Harris drives at the Tri-County Motor Speedway. Garrett Lambert of the number 5 car that's driven by Rock Harris. Now, Garrett, you guys in the off season spend a lot of time preparing these automobiles to go racing for the next season. Tell the fans a little bit what you do in the off season to prepare your cars.
Well, we take them apart, check parts and pieces, go through the suspension, wheel bearings, transmissions, and also motors. Also, we change body parts, whatever needs to be done to make them look presentable, and just get them ready for the next year.
Now, we end up the race season about October. When is the nearest time that you guys start tearing these cars apart and getting ready to start working on the next season?
In October, after the last race.
So basically, in the off season, we're looking about 4 to 5 months that we're not racing at any local racetracks. How much of that off-season time did you guys use preparing these cars?
About 4 months of that. Took a month off and rest and relax and get ready for the next year.
So we notice here in your shop you have a Chevrolet here, and behind us we have a new Ford Fusion that you guys have built for this year. Tell us a little bit about your cars and what you've done to them.
Well, this is the Chevrolet. It's a Childress Racing chassis. Just went through it, checked it. It won 10 races last year, so there's not much to do. Rebuilt the Ford completely. It wasn't much last year, and put a new body on it and checking over every little detail on it. But hopefully next year, or this coming up year, we'll win a whole lot more races.
Now, your driver, Rock Harris, has won how many track champions at Tri-County?
3 or 4. I'm not real sure. He won 2 in a row in 2003 and 2004, and then he won the track championship at Elkin or Friendship Speedway in 2005 last year, and all 3 of those were in the Chevrolet. So I think it's done pretty good, but the Ford's got a little bit of stepping up to do, I guess you call it, to be like the Chevrolet.
Now, you're the crew chief on these 2 automobiles, and now we know your dad's involved in the team too, actually the team owner. We understand you guys may have a new driver coming in this year. We'll take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll talk to Gary Lambert about a new driver for Gary's the owner of these 2 automobiles, a Chevrolet and a Ford. Now, Gary, you've been in this sport for a long time.
Yeah, about 30 years, I guess.
Gary, tell us about some of the drivers that have drove for you over the last 30 years you've been involved in motorsports.
Okay, I guess we started the late model deal out with Andy Petrie. Then we had Dennis Setzer, Mike Skinner, Bob Presley. Dexter Knipe came along later. We had Brian Vickers, Pete Silva, Tommy Houston, Mike Duval, Herschel McGriff came out here once or twice from California to drive. Rock Harris is our current driver, but we've had Rodney Childers and Shane Huffman in the Hooters Cup, and Lee Tissett.
Out of this list of drivers, which driver stands out the most? Not the best driver, but which one stands out the most in performance?
Well, I tell you, this is a good bunch of drivers here. I don't believe there's one guy that you can say is better. Rock's awful good about taking care of your stuff. He won't tire up nothing. Just he'll back off and not tire up. But in turn, he's won 3 championships doing it. So, I've had these other guys like Brian Vickers. He'll knock the front end off just for half a position. So, see, you really can't judge who's the best and who's not.
We're talking about Brian Vickers now. Brian Vickers now drives on the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series for Rick Hendricks. Now, we were talking a little bit about Brian Vickers. Let's kind of hit on that since now he is in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. You say he was kind of an aggressive driver. Really, overall, what kind of driver was Brian?
He was very aggressive. He was knowledgeable about a car, too. He was so aggressive, one time at Hickory Speedway, he tried to spin the pace car out. He ran up behind me and hit it. I don't know if the people liked it pretty good, but I don't know if the driver of the pace car liked it or not. But
that sounds like one of Dale Earnhardt's tricks at Bristol with Elmo and I in the pace car, and he decided he would just move us out. Over the years, I know that you've seen the technology in racing change. Has it changed, in your opinion, for the better, or has it got so it's changed so much, it's got so expensive, it's hard to run on a weekly basis?
On the expensive part and the parts you got to go buy now, it's almost got the weekly guy can't keep up. He's got to have a big sponsor or major cup team behind him, because an individual guy just can't do it. A set of tires, $500. You know, most people don't make that a week, much less afford to keep a car going. And that's just tires, not including weighs in and if you tire something up or what, something like that.
You guys are running for a purse. I know at Tri-County it pays like $1,000 to win a 50 lap. Does the major part of that winnings go back into the car to prepare it for next week?
All of that winnings goes back into the car, and you normally have to put $200 or $300, $400 with it. That's why we have such people like Cars Plus. You cannot race a car on what it wins. If you won every race, you'd still go in the hole.
So if you get any points money, that also goes back into the race car for the next year?
Ever since you get and barring anything goes into the race car.
So a sponsor on one of these late model cars for racetrack, Hickory, Tri-County, Friendship, wherever you may be running, what kind of dollars does it take to run a full season on short track racing for, and you've got 2 cars here, for just one of your cars you got, what kind of budget you looking at as far as money you need from a sponsor?
Well, it certainly takes around $25,000 to run a season. And, you know, that's if you have good luck. We don't run both cars all the time, so, you know, we can get by with less. And another thing, we don't test all the time. You know, Rock, he knows where he's going to be when we get there. That couple practices, he's okay. But some people go test 2 or 3 times a week, and, you know, that adds the money too. And you don't wreck, you know. A front clip, $4,000 or $5,000, or a rear clip, another $2,000 or $3,000, or stuff like that gets in the money.
And we're talking about Rock Harris, which is the 2005 ASA track champion at Friendship Speedway. Also run a handful of races at the Tri-County Speedway this year. How many races did you guys win at Tri-County with Rock Harris driving?
I think we just won 1 race at Tri-County, but I think we sit on like 9 poles.
So it was your emphasis more last year to win the track championship at Friendship?
Oh, that's what we went to Friendship for, to win the track championship. Rock had never won a paved championship over there. It's always been on dirt. So he asked us to go over and run that, and that's why we did. Tri-County, we just kind of used that for our golf game. We went over and had a little fun. I'm not going to say he could have won those other 9 races, but when you have the invert, you start 8th or 7th. And, you know, one night we qualified 2/10 faster than the 8 car in front of us, or 7, and didn't pace a car. So, you know, things like that happen on the invert. And that's what Russ needs to make a show.
Yeah, we want to get in just to the invert just a little bit. Now, at Tri-County Motor Speedway, everybody qualifies the late models. Then they invert the top 6. As a car owner, is that a negative or plus? Do you like that? I know the race fans like it because it gives a better show. The faster guy has to start 6 and work his way back at the front. What is your perspective on that inversion deal?
As a car owner, I hate it. Because, like I say, one time Rock was 2/10 faster than the field qualifying. But, you know, we got to have fans to pay the purses. And that's what they come to see, a different winner every week. If you had a guy winning all the races, pretty soon you wouldn't have nobody in the stands. If they don't make a hero out of them. And the racetrack needs to make a hero so they come see that hero. But the way Russ has got it now, you know, you're going to have different winners every week. Because your winner has to start 8th, I believe, or from the previous week. So don't mean before he qualifies, he's still got to start in the rear.
But also during qualifying, it pays an additional $100 to be fastest qualifier, right?
Pays $100, but you know, if you start on the pole, you know, you got a better chance of winning the race by far.
Does it not give a little bit more to the race? If you're fast enough to sell on the pole, it looks like that you ought to be fast enough to be able to get from 8th back up to the front. Then it also, I know it depends on the traffic and who you're racing with to get back up to the front. Don't you agree?
Well, see, Russ knows what he's doing. He's got these good cars on these with late model stock motors on 4 barrels, and that's plenty of power. But then he goes back and puts them on these old hard Hooters tires, and you can't match the gas. So all these guys are just playing bumper car or tag all night long. So it's just the best who can deal with them hard tires, and that's what Russ wants. Close race.
So as we approach the start of the race season for 2006, what are you guys' plans this year? You plan running a full schedule at Tri-County? You're going to run Hickory or Friendship? Where are you guys going to be seen at this year?
We're gonna go to Friendship maybe for the first big race, and maybe they got 2 more big races after that. But we're gonna concentrate on Tri-County. We got another young guy coming along that's out of Tennessee that's got plenty of dirt experience, a little bit of asphalt, but he's a pretty nice guy, and we'll see what he's gonna do too.
Now we know these dirt daubers coming, and they're used to a car being totally set up a total different way, and the super late models they run on dirt. Do you think there's going to be a hard transition from the dirt over to the asphalt? Now some of them transition better, but what about this guy?
I think he'll be all right. The problem you have at Tri-County, just like I said, the tires is hard when you mash on the gas. You know it's going to go sideways, and he's used to that. So that might be a plus for him.
Well, that's Gary Lambert. He is the owner of the number 5 cars that will be racing at Tri-County for Inside Motorsports. We were just talking to Gary Lambert, the owner of these 2 cars, and his new driver showed up here at the shop, and we're going to let her introduce herself.
I'm Nick Profit, Mooresville, North Carolina.
Now, we understand you're coming to drive for Lambert's race team here. Would this be your first time at the asphalt level? We noticed your resume, you're a lot of dirt.
Yeah, I've got about 12 years on dirt, but no, it's not my first time on asphalt. I've been racing for about 5 years in what they call the MMRA, which is the Baby Grand cars. They're 5/8 scale Winston Cup replicas, and we've been pretty successful there. A lot of wins and a couple of region championships with that.
So you're going to be pretty much driving for these guys full-time this year or on a part-time basis, and any other plans you got for this year?
Full time, whatever Gary needs for us to do. But I'm going to run a limited schedule back with the MMRA Baby Grands this year as well.
Now, have you ever seen the Tri-County or Hickory Speedway or even Friendship with these guys race at? Have you ever had a chance to be on those speedways?
Yeah, actually, we've done a lot of practice and testing at Hickory Motor Speedway, and we run several races last year at Friendship, and including our championship race with the MMRA was there as well, where we ran 4th.
So you know you're coming into a team that has a team owner that has some big name drivers that drove for you past, like Brian Vickers, now a Nextel Cup. You got Andy Petrie, former NASCAR Winston Cup crew chief. You know, so you're walking into a big seat. You know, and he's got right now one of the best drivers on the circuit in Rock Harris. How do you think your performance will do?
Well, right now, Darryl, I'm just looking to get some seat time and try to learn. I know Rock's got a lot of experience, and I hope to learn something from him. I know I've got some big shoes to fill, but I feel like that with the years of experience on dirt and asphalt that I've got something to contribute. And it's going to be a fun deal. So yeah, I look to be very successful with these guys. That's part of the reason why that I asked Gary for an opportunity, because it's a great team, great equipment, and it's going to be a good challenge for me to step up.
So what will be your first race this year that you'll run for this team?
Well, at this time, Darryl, that's undetermined. We're looking at possibly the first race at Friendship, but maybe the Tri-County race, just whatever we can get comfortable with and get settled into, and we're going to discuss that a little bit more with Gary.
All right, we appreciate you spending time with us. So that's Gary Lambert's new driver that we're driving for him this year at Tri-County Friendship and maybe some at Hickory. This is Darrell Payne reporting for Inside Motorsports.